Solitary confinement, a system that seeks just punishment for those guilty of unlawful behavior. In the 1950s, the correctional philosophy was changed from seeking to punish victims to the idea of rehabilitation, which means to reform the victims so that they will not commit crimes again after their sentence is finished. Is incarceration successfully rehabilitating offenders and reforming them not to commit crimes again? This is a question in which every taxpayer should be aware of. Well, according to crimesinamerica.net, in the state of Michigan, 47% of offenders return back to jail or prison.
I was charged with first-degree murder and attempt murder, and carrying a concealed weapon.
I was incarcerated 4 times. I did 33 years.
I did 8 years, possession of drugs and a firearm.
Daily schedule of a prisoner is basically wake up, mandatory eat, yard time, where you choose to do the things that's available, basketball, football.
I was a correction officer working for the Department of Corrections, state of Michigan, for 15 years. They could play baseball. They let them play touch football, flag football, so to speak, but no tackle. And then they played basketball. The gym was open at that time. And then they always had the weight pit outside.
Dice, so I had a dice table. So that was my thing to pass time, shoot craps. They didn't give you nothing to do in there. They took college out of prison. They took anything productive out of prison that can help you really do something for yourself, so you do what you're known to do.
They wasn't really required to really get an education.
The difference is when I first went to prison, I was one of the last. I came to prison in 1990, and those were like the ending years where they had college. You can get a degree, you can get a trade, but I think that's the time when Engler was in office, and when Engler just got in office, and like all these things were taken out of the prison system.
There used to be a lot of programs, provided to prisoners. But when, I don't know if you remember, you're probably too young, when John Engler came in the office, came into the governor's office, he decided that, it was too much going on for prisoners. They were getting too much activity. So one of the main things he did was shut down all the educational activities.
There's no trades, there's no college, there's no degree, unless you have family that's going to pay for you to go to college through the mail. And that's highly unlikely. They
used to be able to take college classes. We had a wood shop when I used to work at Huron Valley Men. They had bricklayers. They had a lot of things like that. You can also go to school, to get your degree. Not only just get your high school diploma, but you used to be able to get a degree and things like that. It was providing them with a lot of avenues for them to rehabilitate themselves and get some kind of job skill necessary for them to manage, their lives out here in society. And when Engler came into office, he took all that away. And the only thing that Engler said that the corrections had to do was provide those who didn't have a GED the opportunity to get a GED. But after that, it was it. The only thing you could do is play basketball, lift weights, and run the track.
But right now, prison is set up whereas you can do 10 to 15 years in prison and just play and come home. I mean, what they have in prison for you now, they have basketballs, they have baseballs, they have checkers, they have all the games in the world. There's not one prison you can pull up to that you won't see at least 5 to 6 basketball courts. There's nothing or no money put into the prison so that would put us in some type of program that would have you ready to be productive in today's society. There's nothing like that. I mean, they have NA for people who maybe was on drugs, but people like me, I wasn't on drugs, so what's NAAA gonna do for me?
Some counseling, if you got a violent crime, you'll go to assault of offenders. If you got a rape case, you'll go to some raping class. You have to change yourself, see deep down in the person who you are, and, make a change for yourself, like a lot of people did. But as far as, them helping you, meaning a facility, no, it wouldn't change it. It'd just make you a smarter criminal.
Further your education, there's nothing that's stopping you from picking up books and reading, because they do have a library. On the street, that's how they live in prison, and if they're not going to rehabilitate themselves in prison, then when they come back out, they always go back into the same thing.
When I was released from prison, they sent me to some hotel, you know, to stay. I ain't stayed one day.
And I drop them off at one of those sleazy motels in Highland Park, and what the state used to do is give them, it was something like $375, I don't know the figure exact. And what that did, it paid for you a 2-week stay in the motel, which left you $125 in cash. And what the department basically say is that, hey, good luck.
But they sent me to a little hotel with a whole bunch of drug addicts, you know what I'm saying? And gave me a check for about, you know, after 8 years, they gave me a check for about $160.
It's basically like you're on your own. If you don't have no family support, that's all they used to do. That's when I worked for the Department of Correction, and I don't think things have changed. They give you a certain amount of money, a 2-week stay in a hotel, and about $125 in cash, and tell you, good luck, stay out of trouble.
In my case, when I was released from prison, I actually had no resources whatsoever.
And you know, you'll have all these plans, you know, to do this and do that, and you'll come out here and see that the world really ain't like you think it is. And you know, it's just like it'll distract you, it'll make you think different. Like, you know, it'll switch your whole plan up. You would come home thinking you about to get 2 or 3 jobs and find out, man, they ain't hiring, or you done filled out 20, 30 applications and you can't get a job. Now you frustrated and you don't know what to do. Your plan ain't going right, and next thing you know, you doing the same thing and you back in prison.
Not when it comes to really to the job market. And the reason why I'm saying that is that, especially during this time, you know, economic time, things are hard. Everybody feel like everybody who is a decent, honest citizen should be the one progressive. And so that I'm not an ex-con, but you're an ex-con. But they feel like, well, you committed a crime against society. We don't care that you did your time. If I want to hire somebody, they're looking at, well, why are you hiring him instead of hiring this person over here? This person have never committed a crime.
The number of times I've been in prison, I had basically exhausted any hope. You know, when I went to put in that application, I was basically told at 58 years old at the time, I got 1 foot in the grave. Who's going to hire me? Okay, what I'm doing now, I'm a commercial baker for On the Rise Bakery. I'm a supervisor here. And had I not got this job, I did have a janitorial job. And that was at minimum wage. And I wouldn't have got that job if I didn't know a guy that I was staying with that knew somebody.
I'm one of the, I would say, fortunate ones. I have my own business, and I ran into a lawsuit, and I took the money from my lawsuit and I invested in me a transportation vehicle. And now I'm an owner-operator, and I do expediting for a company called TST.
Trust me, this is what we're trying to do at the On the Rise Bakery, is show that you can get a bunch of guys that had felonies, that were ostracized from society, and we changed our life. We are human, and if given the opportunity, anyone can change.
If I didn't have my lawsuit money, man, I'd probably be back in prison.
You know, we just typical people just trying to change our life, trying to serve our community, and trying to take care of our family and live within our means.
But it is a little unfair as to how they treat ex-con when they come out.
What are you doing now currently?
Still looking for a job.
I'd have been through everything that'll bring you down. I'd have laid, I'd have prayed in the cage full of rage. I can see myself under the ground. Through my life,